favorite yentas are back doing what they do best. I swear to God, they should have a doctor on staff at The View. When you have a panel type show and your show is centered around political and social issues, it's important to feature panelists with different viewpoints, with balance. If you have a panel of 5, maybe you have 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and 1 normal person sandwiched in between. That would be a balanced panel. Your audience would be exposed to viewpoints from every side, and your audience can choose what they want to believe. Obviously, we don't come even remotely close to this level of balance on The View. The yentas that make up the rotating panel on The View, they share a lot of commonalities, similar beliefs, similar viewpoints, but there's one commonality shared between these lovely ladies and Big Red Joy Behar that stands above the rest. All of these women on The View, they are suffering through a terminal case of OMB, Orange Man Bad. They cannot make it through an episode without shitting all over the Orange Man, which I guess it kind of makes sense. When you have one of the best producers of flatulence in the whoopee cushion, you want to cater the show to utilize her toxic strengths. One of the newer co-hosts on The View is a woman named Alyssa Farah Griffin. We have discussed her here on the channel a couple of times. I sometimes refer to her as AFG, the AOC wannabe. Now, I know this might be hard to believe, with AFG showing traumatic symptoms of OMB, but Alyssa Farah Griffin, she used to actually admire Donald Trump. I'm not making that up. Back in 2020, AFG served as the Director of Strategic Communications and also served as the Assistant to the President. KC, what is the Director of Strategic Communications? I don't know. I have no idea. Sounds to me like another useless job in a federal government that's already filled with people collecting a paycheck for doing absolutely nothing. But as the assistant to the president, I would imagine Alyssa Farah Griffin worked closely with Donald Trump, spent a lot of time with him. I would imagine they enjoyed their favorite fruits and vegetables together. Donald Trump obviously stayed with his own kind, enjoying a fresh orange. I'm sure AFG was preparing for her eventual membership in Woke United Methodist by consuming the supersized cucumber. Back in, I think it was around 2021, after the Orange Man was escorted out of the White House, Alyssa Farah Griffin was asked about her thoughts of the Trumper. Now, I want you to listen carefully to how she describes Donald Trump, because here in a couple of minutes, when I share clips from The View from this morning, you're going to notice a stark difference in AFG's view of the former president. Here is how she felt about Donald Trump a couple of years ago. Roll the film.
But now I've gotten to spend quite a bit of time with him. I remember this every day as I walk on a campus, just to stop, say a quick prayer of thank you and gratitude that I get to be there and that I get to serve this particular president. He's a remarkable man. The more time you spend with him behind closed doors, the more you understand what makes him such a strong leader for our nation.
AFG calls Trump a remarkable man, a strong leader for our country. I wonder what could have changed in the last 2 or 3 years that would drastically alter her opinion. I wonder if it has anything to do with who is signing her paycheck now. There is one qualification required in order for you to collect woke welfare from The View. No, it ain't talent. Talent's not required. Well, I guess you do need a certain talent. The only talent required to work at The View is your ability to release toxic flatulence. With that being the case, my 6-year-old nephew, he would be more than qualified. Now, of course, he would have to alter his gender, which ain't gonna happen. Earlier this morning, the yentas on The View, they were once again discussing their favorite fruit, Orange Man Bad. They were talking about his interview with Bret Baier, which aired on Fox News last night. To open the segment, the whoopee cushion, she absolutely refused to refer to Donald Trump by name. She simply called him you-know-who. No, Whoopi, I don't know who. Casey, it's obvious. I am talking about the president. Oh, really? Because last I checked, the president's name was John Biden, someone who should be extremely jealous of Donald Trump because John Biden rarely gets mentioned on The View. Strange. Couple of minutes into the segment, some unknown panelist named Sarah Gaines or Sarah Haynes Hell, it doesn't matter what her name is. Sean was earning her paycheck by putting the audience to sleep with another painfully boring rant against Donald Trump. It was the same bullshit we've heard thousands of times before and delivered by more entertaining panelists. Sarah Haynes is a hell of a lot easier on the eyes than Big Red Joy Behar, but at least I'm entertained by watching Joy Behar's shoulders struggle to balance that giant red dome. During her rant against the Orange Man, Sarah noticed that her compadre, Alyssa Farah Griffin, was noticeably uncomfortable. Oh shit, I'm about to be exposed as a fraud. Not only did I work for the president, I also admired him deeply. That is grounds for termination in this land of yentas. In order to make her feel more comfortable sitting next to the devilish stare from Son Hostin, Sarah Haynes came to the defense of AFG and offered a reasonable explanation as to why her view of Donald Trump suddenly changed. Watch for yourself.
And Alyssa, just to clear your name was shouted out at one point, and he said someone that used to talk really highly of me, Alyssa Farah, and now she got a job offer and they made her change her view. Let me just remind him that the second he started denying the election was when Alyssa left. So, and it wasn't a year and a half later with her view highly changed until she came to this show.
He's obsessed
so
with
I was
you.
offended for you.
Oh, well, that just explains everything. No, it's not the millions of dollars Alyssa's being paid by CNN and ABC that made her change her view of Donald Trump. She stopped consuming oranges when she found out that he was an election denier. Sure. AFG also claimed that Donald Trump was unfit for office. Unfit for office. Have you seen the dude that is in office right now? Are these lovely ladies on The View choosing to ignore John Biden? KC, his name is Joe Biden. Oh yeah? Does he know that? That's exactly my point. Joe Biden can't put together a complete sentence. He loses his train of thought reading off a teleprompter. The other day, he pulled off this amazing trick where he managed to fall up the stairs. Someone please explain to me how Joe Biden's fit for office, but Donald Trump is unqualified. I would love to hear that explanation. Fortunately, Alyssa Farah Griffin provided an explanation for us. Watch for yourself.
I say, not to you ladies and most of you in the audience, but folks at home, believe those of us who were I was in more Oval Office meetings with him than I can count. I briefed him in his cabin on Air Force One. I've been on Marine One with him. I know him. I'm telling you he's unfit for office. All those other officials are. You should believe us because we saw it.
Oh, okay, so I'm just supposed to take your word for it. I'm supposed to take the word of disgruntled former staffers. I'm supposed to believe the people who have a personal vendetta against Donald Trump. Let me ask you this. If Donald Trump was so unfit for office, why did Alyssa Griffin work for him? If he was so unhinged, if he was so dangerous for the country, why was AFG a part of his administration for all 4 years of his term? She had an explanation for this too. You know how some women will date men who are projects? They go into the relationship thinking their goods are so special that they're going to change their man's behavior. I guess AFG expects us to believe that was her business relationship with Donald Trump. She explained how she tried multiple times to teach an old orange new ways to be peeled. Watch for yourself.
And all those nasty things he said, did you think
that you could make it better?
Yes, and it's naive. I don't know if it's naive or maybe it was hubris at the time. It's like one or the other, maybe a weird mix of both, is that you thought you could make him better. You could convince him that, what's right and what's wrong. I've told this story before, but to me it's the most striking during George Floyd after his murder and the social justice protest that summer. I was trying to get him to walk back a statement he made about saying, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. I was like, surely that's not what you mean. No one thinks we should be shooting people in the public square. And he essentially said, no, that's what I mean. We're not walking back. And that was a moment where I was like, oh, this is not a fixable individual.
If Trump was so damaged beyond repair, if he wasn't a fixable individual, why did you remain on his staff for another 6 months after you said this? Now you got to remember, the atmosphere of the country at the time, this was during the summer of 2020. Local governments, they weren't doing a damn thing about their cities being destroyed by riots. Hell, most of them were just allowing it to happen. Instead of pushing to defund Antifa and BLM, they were pushing to defund the police. At the time, the country was looking for an actual leader to put a stop to this. Now, could Donald Trump have said it more diplomatically? Sure, but part of the appeal to Donald Trump is the dude says what he means and means what he says. That is extremely rare in politics. Now, just to be fair, Alyssa Farah Griffin, she's not the only former Trump staffer who has come out publicly and spoken against the former president. There have been handfuls of former staffers that have spoken publicly against Donald Trump, but it makes you wonder why. Why? The Yentas on The View claim that Donald Trump believes that he's above the law. They were actually advocating that he listens to his lawyers and exercise his right to remain silent, which I wonder if that could be some of the intent behind these charges against him. When you're in the middle of a criminal case, every lawyer in the country is going to advise you to remain silent. Obviously, that is impossible for Donald Trump since, he's in the middle of a presidential campaign. Anyway, the Yentas, they accuse Donald Trump of thinking that he's above the law. Watch for yourself.
He doesn't believe. He
didn't
believe
believes he's above the law.
Well,
He believes he's above the law.
And he knows now because the
I don't
law
know.
is taking him and going, I'm sorry, you actually can't do this.
I don't know if he still believes it. He said this. Brett was asking him, why did you keep the boxes? All you need to do was turn it over.
Yeah.
And he says, I wanted to go through the boxes and get my personal things out.
Golf shirts.
I had golf shirts, clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things. Okay, first of all, that's not a defense.
Underwear, nuclear codes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
Joy Behar! Oh, Joy Behar! Your comedic wit is unparalleled. You're accusing Donald Trump of being above the law? Have you failed to notice the Biden crime family? Huntington Biden is a career criminal at this point. What about Hillary Clinton? Wasn't Hillary Clinton accused of mishandling classified emails? Did anyone ever figure out what happened to all those emails? Was she ever charged? The only Clinton I recall being charged with anything was Billy Clinton. Poor Billy. He was just getting his harmonica massaged by Monica, and Newt Gingrich wanted to turn that into a federal crime. The Yentas talk about Trump in these classified documents. Where's that same energy with John Biden? And look, maybe they have. Full transparency. I don't watch The View. I refuse to waste an hour of my morning exposing myself to those toxic mouth farts. Plus, I threw away my Fauci mask over 2 years ago, so it's not even safe for me to smell The View. But I highly doubt The View keeps this same energy with Joe Biden. In my opinion, Alyssa Farah Griffin, she's nothing but a fraud. She had nothing but praise for Donald Trump until she started collecting woke welfare from CNN and ABC. And to be fair, maybe her opinion and stance changed after January 6th. Everyone has the right to change their mind, but when it comes to The View, the actual views are always one-sided. They present Alyssa Farah Griffin as the conservative voice, the voice for normal people. And ain't nothing normal or conservative about her. But give me your thoughts. The View once again demonizes Donald Trump. Shocker. What are your thoughts on Alyssa Farah Griffin? Did she change her stance because she started working for the woke media, or did she start working for the woke media because she had already changed her stance? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.